And then my two mates in the main event, Ilya versus Justin. Ilya did say he was going to come back around this time, so June, perfect for him. And obviously Justin Gagey said himself when he was fighting me, he wants to beat me and then go on to fight on the White House, and he's done it. You know what I mean? That's off to him. He said he was going to do that. That's a scrap. You know what I mean? They're going to come out and they're going to try and take each other's heads off, but everyone's already counting Gagey out, and we've already learned you can't do that. I don't know, I've got a sneaky suspicion that Gagey might pull off an upset here and surprise everyone. As you know, it's a fight. It's a fist fight. It can go either way. Anyone could beat anyone. In the White House, he's probably going to have a little bit more motivation to go out there and win because it's in front of his presidents in his home country. We'll have to see how that one plays out, because obviously it's big implications for the rest of the division. I'm obviously going to be watching that. I'll have my eye on that, but I'm going to be focused on whoever I get to fight next, and hopefully I'm going to find out the next few weeks when my next fight will be, and hopefully it's around that time. Hopefully it's around June, July. I don't know, you know, like, as I say, lads, Dan Hooker get out grappled by a blind man with no legs, you know what I mean? And
because you were on a 7-fight win streak.
Yeah.
You pushed Justin Gagey to the absolute limit. Close fight, 3-2-ish, something like that. The rankings are supposed to now look at fights and then based upon that, adjust your ranking.
It's one of them. Well, when I beat him on the weekend, I'll be back in rank 5.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's all I'm thinking about.
So Ilya Topuria, you think you're going to fight. When do you think that'll happen?
I don't know. I just think, I know it's inevitable in the next couple of years. I've got to fight him. There's no way we end our careers without fighting each other.
No, of course.
No way. And I'll send his fat ass back down to featherweight.
And what about Justin Gagey?
I hope so, but he's towards the end of his career. But you know, it's all about the strikers on that game for me, the number 9s. And
then Benoit Saint-Denis, when we're finishing him?
Hopefully the first round, lad. Get him out of there nice and fast. I don't need another one of them 5-round wars, lad. No, I don't need another one of them 6 months after the last one.
How did you feel after that? How was the body?
Sad.
Yeah.
One of the maddest thing ever is.
Yeah.
But he's never lost before, and he's about 27, and his whole aura around his fighting is I'm unbeaten, no one can beat me. Now he's just being beat by Justin Gagey, in his words, 38-year-old man. Know what I mean? When he beat me.
Yeah.
And then he just went and absolutely punched his face in for 4 rounds. Do it against him, Conor McGregor.
I think if Conor can win this, I think he fights Islam Makhachev next. Which I know is a crazy shout.
Yeah.
But think about the storyline.
Yeah, the storyline that they've got.
Everything with Khabib and all the rest of it. Because Conor will take that fight. Of course he would. Because say what you want about that guy, he ain't going to turn a fight down.
The welterweights won't be happy.
They're confident.
I am confident. I know I'm going to beat him.
See, this is why people gravitate towards you, Paddy, because you got to be confident to say, listen, I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to smoke this guy. I'm going to stop him or whatever. But a lot of people won't do that. No,
I'm going to beat him. That's a 100% fact.
How are you going to beat him? How did you feel after that? How was the body?
Sad.
Yeah.
One of the maddest thing ever is, the sorest my body has ever been.
Go on.
After fighting Tony Ferguson.
Really?
And I've dominated for 3 rounds.
Yeah, it's weird,
my body has never, his bones were made out of metal.
I was meant to just clip myself. All right, give us your prediction for Benoit then.
I think I finish him fast. I think he's going to probably put his head in a choke and get put fast to sleep. I don't think he'll tap. I think he'll go unconscious. Okay, well, mate, all the best. Congrats on everything. You know that,
all right, today's video is sponsored by Zaply's T1. Now, listen, I'm 47 and I've been hitting the head a lot for a living, but I still feel sharper now at 47 than what I did when I was 30. And that's not luck. That is looking after the right things. Now, the fact is, men's testosterone...
Good fighter, lad, don't get me wrong, but I don't understand how we got moved above me in the rankings for beating Dan Hooker. Damn the bum Hooker.
Does that piss you off?
Yeah. And that's why as soon as I got offered the fight with BSD, I was like, yeah.
Why is that? I
want me ranking back.
What do you think the rankings are looking at? If I wanted to ask you about, what are your thoughts on Ilya right now?
He's a little bitch, lad. How can you sit there and call yourself a world champion and quit on your still when the going gets tough? You know what I mean? You don't do that. Real fighters don't do that. Justin Gagey beat me and I said he was going to beat Ilya because I know I'd beat Ilya. You know what I mean? I know MMA math doesn't work, but I know I beat Ilya and Justin Gagey beat me, so it was a no-brainer for me that Justin Gagey had beat him. 100% fact.
How are you going to beat him?
It depends, to be honest. I keep having mad thoughts about knocking him out with an eye kick, but you never know. But I think his chaoticness...
Paddy Pimblett just made one of the most aggressive predictions in recent UFC history. He's going to put Benoit Saint-Denis fast asleep in the first round. And he said it with absolute certainty, no hesitation, no maybes. But before we get into why Paddy believes he's going to finish this fight that decisively, we need to understand the psychological warfare he's been orchestrating since before this fight was even official. Because what you're about to hear isn't just trash talk. It's a calculated breakdown of his opponent's mindset, his understanding of the UFC rankings, and his long-term vision for a legacy-defining showdown with Ilia Topuria. Paddy opened up by calling Ilia Topuria a little quitter, attacking his fighting spirit directly and claiming that Topuria quit on himself when the going got tough. This is rare stuff. Most fighters would avoid this level of disrespect toward an undefeated champion, but Paddy went there anyway, and his reasoning shows he genuinely believes he has Topuria's number. He predicted Justin Gaethje would beat Ilia, and that prediction came true, which for Paddy is proof of his tactical insight and understanding of both fighters. He openly admitted Gaethje beat him, but he used that loss to construct his entire argument for why he beats Ilia. This isn't MMA math. This is Paddy saying he knows his own skill set well enough to know where he beats Topuria and where Gaethje beat him, and those overlap in a way that favors Paddy against Ilia. What makes this even more damaging is Paddy's read on Ilia's entire persona. He argues that Topuria's invincibility aura was his shield. His whole identity was built on being unbeaten, on being untouchable, on nobody being able to touch him. Then Gaethje, a 38-year-old man, absolutely punched his face in for 4 rounds, and that shattered everything. For Paddy, this isn't just physical damage, it's psychological destruction of Topuria's self-belief. Now Paddy is applying that same psychological warfare to everyone in his path, starting with Benoit St. Denis. He says with 100% certainty that he's going to beat Benoit. No ambiguity, no hesitation. When asked how, Paddy mentioned a wild prediction, a head kick knockout, but then he clarified that he really sees the finish coming from Benoit's own style being his downfall. Paddy believes Benoit's chaos, his aggression, his intensity, his relentless aggression is going to be to his detriment against Paddy. He thinks those aggressive tendencies will create an opening and Paddy will end it. But here's where it gets really interesting. Paddy expressed genuine frustration with the UFC rankings. He's baffled that Benoit St. Denis got ranked above him for beating Dan Hooker, a fighter Paddy completely dismisses, saying Dan Hooker could get out-grappled by a blind man with no legs. Paddy was on a 7-fight win streak. He pushed Justin Gaethje to the absolute limit in a close fight, and somehow Benoit moved ahead of him in the rankings. So when he accepted the fight with Benoit, it was purely about getting his ranking back up. He's not interested in proving himself, he's interested in repositioning himself where he believes he belongs. Once he beats Benoit, he'll be back at rank 5 and then the path opens up. And Paddy is crystal clear that he wants this fight finished fast. He said he doesn't need another 5-round war like his last bout. That's a strategic decision, not arrogance. He revealed something genuinely surprising. His body felt more battered after his dominant 3-round performance against Tony Ferguson than it did after his grueling war with Justin Gaethje. His bones felt like they were made of metal after Ferguson. That kind of weird, insidious damage is exactly why he wants to finish Benoit in the first round and get out without the extended punishment. He wants it done nice and fast, because he's learned that not all damage is visible and recovery matters for what comes next. And what comes next in Paddy's mind is inevitable. He stated outright that he and Ilia Topuria will fight each other. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. He said there's no way they end their careers without fighting each other, and when it happens, he's going to send Topuria's quote-unquote fat ass back down to featherweight. This is a long-term vision, not a short-term beef. Paddy is building his entire career narrative around this collision, treating it as destiny. But he's also opened the door to other massive opportunities. He confirmed he would move up to 170 pounds to fight Conor McGregor, saying why not? He'd love to test how his body feels at welterweight, and against Conor specifically, that's the fight he wants. He's not intimidated by the size difference or the historical significance of McGregor in MMA. He sees it as an opportunity. And Paddy even went deeper into the business of MMA by predicting that if Conor wins his next fight, he'll face Islam Makhachev next. He called it a crazy shout, but he understands the narrative weight of that fight, the storyline connecting back to Khabib, the drama and the vibe that would draw audiences. He acknowledged that Conor would take that fight because Conor never turns down fights, regardless of the business logic or weight class complications. Paddy gets it. He understands the UFC isn't just about rankings and records, it's about storytelling, about the narrative that captures fan imagination. He's operating as both a fighter and a student of the sports ecosystem. His mindset about fighting itself is equally revealing. He claims that getting punched in the face doesn't hurt him, that he was made to just clip himself without feeling pain. This isn't bravado alone. It's a psychological edge that allows him to absorb punishment and keep moving forward. essential for his aggressive fighting style and his willingness to stand and trade with opponents. That sense of invulnerability, combined with his supreme confidence, is exactly what he'll bring into the cage against Benoit. His final prediction for the bout is brutal and definitive. He says Benoit will put his head in a choke and get put fast asleep. Not just knocked out, but unconscious. A conclusive finish that leaves no room for argument or comeback narrative. His confidence is absolute, echoing everything he said about Topuria and his unwavering belief in his own superiority. Paddy has constructed a complete worldview here. He's not just talking about his next fight, he's mapping out his entire career trajectory, the fighters he needs to go through, the narratives he needs to control, and the legacy he's building. Whether it's the quick finish against Benoit, the inevitable showdown with Ilia Topuria, the potential super fight with Conor McGregor, or his insight into how Islam Makhachev could become the next massive crossover bout, Paddy is playing multiple levels ahead. He's confident, strategic, psychologically aggressive, and completely convinced he's going to dominate everyone in front of him. The question isn't whether Paddy believes this. He clearly does with absolute conviction. The question is whether that belief, that confidence, that psychological warfare translates when the cage door closes and he faces Benoit Saint Denis. Because if his first-round submission prediction comes true, we're one step closer to the collision he's been building toward with Ilia Topuria. And based on the way Paddy is talking when that fight happens, he genuinely believes the outcome is already determined.